Native Crosby County native James Jamerson described the experience of attending small country schools. At one time, there were at least 24 schools in Crosby County.
Okay, I started to school in first grade at Canyon Valley, which is down below the Cap, and then we moved to Ralls. And when I was still in the first grade, went to Ralls until mid-semester of the sixth grade, and we moved briefly to Lorenza, and from there to north of Idalou at Heckville, and I graduated from Idalou. Moved back to Ralls when I was a junior in high school, and I drove back and forth to Idalou because at that time, to participate in athletics, you had to lay out a year and a day before you could participate in athletics. So I was involved in football and basketball and track and baseball, and so in order to continue playing, well, I had to drive back and forth.
With the earliest schools, how did the students get to school?
Some of them had wagons or buggies. Later on, probably in the 1920s, they had school buses that were just a chassis, and they built the bus body out of wood over it. Didn't have any heat in them, certainly no air conditioner, and the kids would take a rock and heat it up on a wood stove at home and wrap that rock up in rags or cloth or something like that and carry it on to the school bus with them and put their feet on it or their hands on it to keep warm. Did that same thing in the buggies. Horseback, you'd put your feet up under the horse's flanks or front legs and try to keep them warm, and if it was real cold, you'd step off your horse and you'd fall flat on your face because your legs were so dadgum cold.
What were the benefits to those small schools?
I guess personal interaction. Like we'd just say that you had one teacher and she was teaching 4 grades. Okay, you'd have first grade over here all together and they'd be ciphering, which is writing, or working on their numbers or ABCs or whatever. And she'd have another group that's in second grade over there on a different part of it, and they'd be learning to read, and the third grade would be learning math, and the fourth grade would be math and English, and it's just.
How did the students stay warm in the school?
They had some of the richer school districts had coal. Some of them had mesquite wood. Most of them burned cow chips, and those little schools would go out in the pastures and have cow chip drives. Well, the bigger schools did. Cone had a principal and Estacada had a principal. And they'd cover, usually they'd have a superintendent and one principal covered the whole deal. And in Rawls' case, they had an elementary principal and a high school principal. The elementary school at that time, well, the first Rawls school was where the swimming pool is down there. And then they moved up here, and the elementary building was out there where the band practice field is. And the middle school building was the high school. In 1921, when Ralls went to incorporate, become a city, from just a community to a city, they had less than 1,000 population. The 1920 census was 550.
Wow.
So nearly everybody lived in the country, and that's the reason you had so many little country schools.